gonna put aside growing
Mhm.
up, um, growing up with a mom who was addicted. How has our life transferred? Is it transferred? Transformed?
Mhm. Transformed.
Transformed. Okay, thank you. Transformed into our adulthood. How has growing up with all the trauma? How have you dealt with it? I guess in a sense, like if we're being 100% honest with people here, have you ever fallen into substance abuse?
Hmm. Hmm. Um, I have.
Okay.
So, and I feel like this is very important to talk about because I feel like it's slowly but surely starting to become more of a conversation when it comes to the percentage
Yeah.
of foster youth that tend to repeat cycles.
Yeah.
Okay. And at least in my personal story, I'm grateful to say that I kind of was living on the line of it. Of I felt like I was given there was a time in my life where I was given where it's not even given where I felt like Humpty Dumpty on the wall. Okay, if I fall back, I'm falling into that same cycle and I'm joining that high percentage of foster youth redoing the cycle and reliving it.
Mhm.
Or if Humpty Dumpty don't fall off the wall and go forward, then I'm out, which is now where I'm at. Thank you, Jesus. Um
Amen.
but yeah, I did struggle with substance abuse
Okay.
actually not that long ago. I would say maybe like 2.5 years ago. So my journey started after a domestic or DV relationship, a domestic violent relationship. I never touched drugs or any of that. My first experience was with him, and it was a little bit before I turned 18.
Mhm.
So like the first couple highs, the whole saying of like your first high, like you'll never feel it again. It's true. I felt like maybe more connected to him
Okay.
because we shared that substance, because I was very like I said, very innocent, very against it, and I felt like I was a little bit more like him, like maybe we had more in common, maybe he would find me more intriguing.
Yeah.
um so it started off like that, and like I said, like I feel like with addiction or any substance, like it builds.
Yeah.
So one, I would take one hit in the beginning and I was high, I was goofy, I was laughing, everything was cool, everything was fine. And then maybe a month later, my tolerance would go up and it would be two hits, half a joint, a whole joint. Like it goes up over time. Your tolerance grows over time. And as my tolerance grew using it with him, so did that like relationship. It got worse, worse, worse. And when it came time to the separation, we'll get more into that in a different episode, but it kind of sent me on a spiral.
Yeah.
In a way, in a sense, it kind of made me feel not closer to the abuser, but more so like kind of in a way. um I feel like I was using it, yes, to cope,
Okay.
to like ignore, like I said, when I was smoking, everything was entertainment to me. Anything serious that happened, like I wouldn't even take it serious. It would just be like I really wouldn't care.
Like you
I it
brush it
was
off.
just it was yeah, it was just whatever. I was laughing. Um and if you know me, I've always been a person, I like structure. Like I've always, even when I was younger, middle school, high school, like I've made routines for myself, schedules for myself. Like I'm very like that. And at that time, you can tell that wasn't me because I was waking up 4 in the afternoon. I was going to sleep at 4 in the morning, and it was just I was chain smoking. Like I was just smoking like a joint back one after another, back to back to back. I wouldn't eat, and that caused issues with my health.
Mm.
So it was like a domino effect in itself, just with weed and me not knowing or not using it correctly. Um,
Just kind of went downhill. Yeah, like
yeah.
everything progressively got worse for you. It sounds like. Because in the beginning, from what you were saying, is like you were using it with this relationship like recreational, so just using it like, just to use it.
Mhm.
And then after you split ways with this abuser, it just started to become a lifestyle rather than it being fun.
And I feel like one of the reasons why it was because like I said, we'll get more into it, but one of the main reasons why I felt like I was consuming it so much more was because he was very nonchalant, very I don't give a fuck, you know,
Mhm.
if we're being raw and real. And in the midst of the healing, like I would, and there was times where I would ask him like, teach me to be like you, teach me to not care.
Mm.
And when he was gone, the weed was.
Teaching you not to care. Damn. And I just like, for a lot of people, it's gonna view like any substance is teaching people not to care. And this part of our talk, it's like there's a lot of youths who are using this as a way to cope,
Mhm.
as a way not to care, because for so long, all they felt has been people being quite literally like bringing pain to them. And it's so important to have this conversation to see that not only are like we grew up and you'd think like, well, you grew up thinking like knowing what substance does to people, you think we wouldn't want to try it, and yet somehow we end up in the same cycle as our parents.
And that's why I referenced the whole like Humpty Dumpty thing, because I felt like that was me. Like I fell over the wall and I dipped into it. And like I said, had I not climbed over, had I not gone to the other side, like
Mm-hmm.
I would have been another person in that big percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Sister, maybe you can input it somewhere here, like the exact percentage of like foster youth repeating the cycle. Like I was already 1 foot in.
Yeah.
I could have stayed.
Damn.
But I feel like during that whole time where I was using, I was also educating myself. So I feel like maybe there was something in me because maybe of like my past and like my mom being addicted and all these things. And like I said, everything good in my life was destroyed because of drugs. So I feel like that in the back of my head, I was always intrigued in learning more. Um, DV, it rewires your brain, it changes your mind. Um, and I was trying to understand why it is I feel these things that I didn't feel. Why is it that I'm dealing with anxiety, or I didn't even know what anxiety was, what social anxiety was, what panic attacks were. Like I
Mm.
was going through all of these things I didn't know, and I would mask it with the weed, but I was also educating myself on like what this is, what your mind does, why we're attracted to certain
Wow.
things, why like. And I would ask you, I remember I got into therapy. I was researching different therapies. I found out there was like EMDR therapy, trauma focused therapy. Like I was really doing my research. I wanted to do better. Um but like I said, like I wanted to be like him and not care. Like he would maneuver the world. He would, like I said, I'll get more into it, but it was like nothing.
Like, yeah.
Like nothing bothers you, like your conscience, your heart doesn't ache, like. And like I said, like I would ask you questions to get more informed on like the psychiatry side of
Yeah.
things, like medications, like,
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with doubt in myself
Mm-hmm.
when it came to quitting. At the time I didn't have a support system as great as I have now. Now I have my family, great friends.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that relationship, I was alone at the very end of it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm realizing it, like I went through that shit alone.
Yeah.
And not in a pity way, but that's strong.
I just, like Wendy said, like that's another episode where we'll dive more deep into her domestic violence relationship. Um, but this is real. Like, this is raw. These are the conversations that we knew if we were going to start a podcast, it was going to be honest. It was going to be, we knew that it was going to bring up emotions that we haven't dealt with, right? And just hearing you speak, Wendy, it's like, I don't think you realize just how powerful and how impactful it is, and how there's people out there. Because I know that this podcast will prosper. I know that this podcast is meant for something bigger beyond we've ever imagined. Like, we're sitting in my studio apartment, but I know one day we're going to be looking back at this episode and just be like, wow. And there's people out there that you're going to connect to, that they're going to hear what you just said and be like, I see myself in her. I see the broken in her. And yet she can still sit here in this couch and be honest. And like you said, like, I just realized that I went through that by myself, alone. And seeing that episode, or just knowing what we have planned for this podcast, is like, people are going to understand why you went through it alone. And like, I still have a lot of regrets in that aspect that you went through it alone. But kind of like what Wendy said, when you're in a DV relationship, the abuser tends to push everyone and everything away from you, and that's the whole point. I went through a domestic violence training, and that's the whole point of the DV abuser. It's to isolate you to the point where you just depend on him or her, because it can be girls too. Um, but I just sit here and I just hear you, Wendy, and I just think that's just so powerful. And to say that you had self-doubt in your relationship with coping, like, of getting better, of even going out of your way to become educational, to research the different therapies, to talk to me about different pharmaceutical, like, medication routes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was on that path. Like, I had been on antidepressants for probably like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember having that conversation with you. I just didn't realize to an extent of why we were having that conversation.
And honestly, like I said, that realization of it
Mhm.
as we speak, because we're growing.
Mhm.
The thing with like our stories is it's not like a one-time pill that we swallow and it's just like, oh, we cry, we deal with it. It's these are things that happen as a kid but come with us as an adult.
Mm. Mm.
And I feel like I said, like me realizing like now at this very moment as we speak, like I did that shit on my own.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. I just want to highlight what you said, like, and I'm going to reiterate this to parents. What you choose as your lifestyle, whether you think it's not going to affect the child long term, it 100% affects the child long term. It 100% brings repercussions into our adulthood. It 100%, we carry that, and we will always carry that, because there will always be triggers, there will always be reminders. And in our own, like, personal experience, like, you touch so much based on, like, recreational, like, what you've gone through. One of the things that I heard you say is therapy.
Mm-hmm.
How has therapy helped you now? Are you still consistently using Mary Jane to cope? And if you are, no shame about it. There's people, it's legal now, but is it to the extent of where you were numbing yourself?
Like my relationship with it now.
Mhm.
So for
And how has
starters,
therapy helped you?
I want to touch on therapy. I know a lot of people, there's opinions out there about like,
Mhm.
why am I going to go to a therapist if they don't even know me and they're just
Mhm.
going to tell me things that I've already heard. Da, da, da. I understand that, and to each their own, okay?
Mhm.
But I believe in having an open mind. If you are aware that you have issues, if you are struggling with things, the next step is to continue or to have an open mind. Understand that it's like a therapist is gonna give you all the tools They're going to tell you things, they're going to help you understand things, but you have to do your homework.
Mm.
They're going to give you the tools. You need to go back and you need to practice these things. You need to educate yourself on these things. And
Mm.
I feel like for us, we've been, at least for me, I've been in like going to therapy, like traditional therapy, I don't know what it's called, since we were what, like 4 or 5, since we got into the system.
Mhm.
I think I stopped therapy maybe when I was 16. So it's been a good 10 plus years of traditional therapy. And for a while, like, I didn't really see much of, like, I didn't really understand, or I've had that mentality of, like, oh, like, I'm just going here to get this out of the way and that's that. But I feel like as I became more intentional with it while I was researching and realizing, like, okay, I'm very spiritual. So there's something called shadow work where you sit there and you, like, you look back at, like your past and your choices and things like that. And for me, like, I ask the questions why. Okay, like, why is this going on? Why? And when I was doing it alone, yeah, I would get to, like, the root of things. But I feel like therapy, after that point, after I became intentional and I did my research and was like,
Mhm.
oh, there's something called trauma focused, and I realized all the issues that I had that weren't trauma were understood, fixed. I have solutions, ways to go about it if it happens. But as far as the traumatic experiences, I never was educated on it. I didn't know.
Mhm.
It wasn't really like, yeah, I would talk about it, I would cry, but I really wouldn't get anything out of it.
Mhm.
I went into therapy, and that's when they started telling me about, like, the rewiring of your brain. Like,
Mhm.
I wasn't aware that that happens. Like, I was going crazy thinking I was crazy because I was like, I'm feeling all these things. I've never experienced
Mhm.
anxiety. I've never experienced panic. Like, what is going on? And they helped me. So honestly, I would recommend therapy for everyone. We all there's I don't we're not perfect. We all have areas, gray areas, where whether other people notice it or don't, that I feel like we all know, like, okay, there's certain things about me that I don't understand, or certain toxic things about me that it's not that I mean to do it, but I
Mhm.
do it, or I'm attracted to and I don't mean to be. Um yeah, I love therapy. I'm actively going still now. It's helping me understand, like I said, I need to understand something for me to be able to, like, move forward with it.
Mm.
Like, that's part of the reason why I was educating myself, because I couldn't understand it. And another thing is, I love to feel like I'm not crazy and I'm not the only one going through it, so, which is why it pushed me to do that, because I was like, okay, why am I having these thoughts? Why am I having these feelings? Da da da.
Yeah.
As far as the Mary Jane, I do indulge in her. I do indulge in it. However, it's not to cope. And honestly, anytime that I am going through, and I've realized this, anytime that I am going through something that is hard, that is, losses or anything like that, like, I've noticed that if anything, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's helped me with that, with my relationship with it. I don't partake in it. I don't
Mm.
partake because of that fear of having that happen again, having it be because of the support not being there in the beginning. I would use it like that. I don't want it to be like, maybe scratch that, but, like, I guess,
Depend on it.
yeah,
You don't want to depend on it.
I don't want it to be like a cushion, like a
Mm.
shoulder to cry on. I don't. Um I am very spiritual now, so, like, my biggest thing has been therapy, of course, and also, like, Jesus, my relationship with God. Um
Wow.
and that's helped. Like, I
Mm.
will, like, on my days off, after a productive week and everything is situated, done, chores, house is clean, something's cooked, then I'll go ahead and indulge in it. But it's definitely nothing like it was in the beginning, where it was like day and night, every day, no eating, no nothing, no feeling.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's so good that you brought all those points, because if we're having this conversation, it's not to be like, oh, Mary Jane is so good, and it's like, oh, it's a like, we're not here to promote it,
Mm-mm.
you know. And I just love the fact that you said it's not there as a cushion.
Yeah.
Any recreational drug, any alcohol included, anything that you were using to numb yourself, you need to seek someone who is there to help you.
Yeah. If
Healthy ways, exercise, journal, listen to music, find healthy ways to cope. Do not use it to drown your emotions.
something that I do want to share, just so you know, if there is anyone dealing with this, and we are on the topic of therapy, therapist did tell me, when I was getting out of that dark space with the abuser, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what I liked anymore. I didn't know my joys. I didn't have a spark. I didn't know like what else could give me life besides that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I had a therapist tell me, so I want to push this out. Hopefully it helps someone, but um think back to your childhood, not the bad side. But think back to your childhood and think about the things that you used to do as a kid that made you happy. When they told me that, I started thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, as you know, like, as a kid, I was always outside. I loved nature,
Mm-hmm.
animals. I started going on hikes. I started doing nature walks.
Mm.
My mental health started going up. Another thing that I thought about was like painting. I don't know, coloring and painting to me, like, I've always liked as a kid. I started doing that as an adult, and that's helped me. So if you're going through anything, and this pertains even if it's not substance abuse, but you're just like you're struggling to find, I don't know, like your light again, or you're just like maybe you're going through something and you want to get your mind off of it but still be stimulated in a healthy way, I would say start looking at things like that. Think back to your childhood and think about things that used to make you happy that you stopped doing. Pick up back on it again. There's a reason why you stopped. And 9 times out of 10, it's actually sad, but it's reason we stopped doing those things as a kid is because that was met with judgment and we stopped. I didn't know that, but the therapist, they educated me on that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just gained like 10 brain cells. That was awesome, sister. I
Yeah.
loved it. She gave advice. She came and she opened our heart, cut us
Yes.
open, and then said, "You know what? I'm gonna seal you back up." That was beautiful,
Because that's what
sister. I
this is
loved it.
about. Like we
I
said,
loved
like we
it.
don't just want to trauma dump. We do, or I like we do want to paint a picture for you guys, for those
Mhm.
that have been through it, so that there's some type of like relatability,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. But also like these are stories that we've surpassed,
Mhm.
and if there's any information, anything good that we could give, that's also a point.
Yeah. That is wonderful. All right, we're gonna cut
So
it
now
here.
that we have, or so now that I've shared my story, my vulnerable
Yeah.
story, let's get the heat off of me a little bit.
Okay.
Have you ever had any encounters or like situations with substance abuse?
So I've had same like you, Mary Jane.
Oh.
Yeah, your girl was a little pothead back in the day.
Oh.
um, I'm proud to say that I'm 10 months sober. Thank you
Congratulations.
so much. Um, I feel like I could this is why I said that like there's going to be people out there who could relate to you so
Mhm.
much because even sitting here as your older sister, like everything that you said, I could relate to in my journey.
Mhm.
I started. And mind you, let's just say that we were legal when we started. Well, not technically legal, but we were of age when we both. No, wait, you were under 18, about to be 18,
About
a month away from being 18. But we
ish.
were, yeah,
Sure.
yeah, okay.
Sure. Good.
I was not of legal age to consume, but I was of age.
Oh.
Yeah. I was 19
Okay.
when I first had my first hit. And it started off just like you,
Mhm.
recreational. It was just meant to be funs and giggles and have a good time and worry about nothing. And I swore up and down that I would never try anything because of our childhood.
Mhm.
And it was introduced to me, and it wasn't actually a hit. It was the edibles. That was my
Oh.
first time.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Cause how old did you
I
wait?
was 19.
Okay.
What was your question?
Cause I low key thought that you were already experimenting at one of the foster parents' house with one of the girls that lived there.
No. I
Yeah.
would never. I would never. I was 19 when I first started.
So like with Chantel? No.
No.
So what was that whole thing where like, or did you record her high?
I think I recorded her high.
Okay, that's what
I
it
never
was.
consumed.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Okay.
That's what it
I
was.
was
Okay,
girl.
never
I was
mind.
like, wait.
No, because I got a flashback of that. I was like, but no, you. I remember it being a conversation and someone recording, but that makes
Yeah,
sense. It
no.
was her.
I was
Oh,
19 when I first
19.
yeah, when I first tried that experiment, and it just started off slow, like it was just edibles, and then it's went through a vape, and then it went. I was never into joints like you, so I just went through it as a vape. But it was supposed to be like it just being.
Like a vape or like wax? Because
What's a
vape,
stizzy?
that's weed.
Clearly I don't know my
So
things.
vape is nicotine.
Okay, well, it was a
Okay.
stizzy.
Yeah, stizzy is actual marijuana.
Well, I don't
Just
know.
not the
This is
flowers,
how
but
uneducated I was. I was just using it to use it. And then so I was using it, and then all of a sudden it was um I was using it as just recreational, like it was just supposed to be fun and all.
hmm
And then at some point in my life, I feel like it started not becoming recreational. I feel like I was going through some personal aspects in my life, and just like I always say that, like, when you if you want to go mentally insane, be in a room trapped inside four walls. Close the door and you will go mentally insane. And I felt like for the long time, like I felt like I was, just because of our childhood, like being trapped inside a singular room.
hmm
And I had gotten to a point where I just felt trapped. Like I felt like I couldn't roam around freely
hmm
in my current living situation. Like I just couldn't be myself. I couldn't do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do. Like I was just going insane. And also, I feel like everything in life just suddenly came to, like, because when you're a child going through trauma, this is something else that no one really talks about. You're just going through the emotion. You're putting one foot through the other. You don't have time to process anything.
You're on survival
You're
mode.
yeah, you're on that survival instinct mode. You're just going through it. Like whatever is coming at your way, you're just shoveling it, like putting it away like a bookshelf.
hmm
And I felt like at some point my bookshelf tipped over, and it just everything came at me.
hmm
And suddenly I just was using that, just like you, to cope, to
hmm
numb. I felt like I was drowning, and I was using that as a way to like lift my head up in the surface for a bit and then come back down. Like
mm
it was just getting to a point where I like was really really struggling, and I felt like a lot of people didn't really realize that I was struggling because I made it seem like it was cool and I was having the time of my life. And I, for a very long time, have been I've well, through therapy, like I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and PTSD. So for that, it was like a lot of people don't really know my story. A lot of people don't really know what I've gone through, and I was just using Mary Jane as a way to cope.
I have a question
Okay.
because obviously I grew up with you, and I
Mhm.
do remember in the system, like you would use books
Mhm.
as an escape,
Mhm.
and you would kind of describe it the same way as you're kind of describing,
Okay.
using weed. It was very much like, oh, I would read books to put my mind in a different world and
Mhm.
like escape. When did that, like, why didn't your brain think of doing that? Like, if that's something that you always did as a coping mechanism, like when life hit you, like why didn't you go, like why did you decide to open up or unlock this new coping mechanism versus like how you've always done it in a healthier way? Like what was that?
Because I feel like we all fall short sometimes. And I
Mm.
feel like maybe when we get to that chapter in our life where, like, you're right, like books have always been, like, I'd say, like a way to escape my reality, right?
Mhm.
Like you could be in a book and you could be a princess and you could be whatever you want, and then at some point in our childhood it was like that was used against me as punishment, my books be taken away.
Mm.
So maybe when I got older, I just never turned to books because it was taken away at some point, and I just didn't think it would have the same effect as it did, like I felt like Mary Jane did. So I feel like I fell into that unhealthy behavior because it was something new to me. Because I knew what reading did. I knew what, like, just I felt like this was a different alley, a different chase, a different way of feeling than I've ever felt before.
Mhm.
And I felt like, I don't know, I feel like when you're under the influence of anything, it's just your mind is taken off. Like you don't think about anything, you just focus on one thing and everything else kind of floats away.
Mhm.
And looking back now, it's like I have videos, and if we can figure this out, like I have videos where you can tell that I wasn't there. Like
Mhm.
the light behind my eyes wasn't there,
Mhm.
and the person behind my eyes wasn't there. But everyone who was around me just thought like this is her. Kind of like
Mm.
you, the way you said it, like this is, or no, this was our conversation earlier. You didn't say it
Mhm.
here. This was like everyone who was surrounded around you just knew this version of you, but no one really knew the real version of you.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like everyone that I was around was like, "Oh yeah, you want to get high? Well, here, like we'll get high, we'll do this." Without really realizing that I was just using it to forget my pain and be anywhere else but there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Dang.
Yeah. But just like you, I feel like this isn't a spiritual podcast,
Mhm.
because I never want to force anything onto anyone.
Yeah.
What has helped me, same thing as you, like, and I will say it now, the versions, if you have not spoken to me in years, in the past year, then respectfully, you do not know who I am now. You respectfully do not know the type of person that I've grown into. I admit my flaws. I take accountability. I was not perfect growing up. I've hurt some people and I will 100% own up to it. But now, like, I have such a close relationship to God.
Mhm.
I have such a personal and deep relationship to God. I may not be to church every Sunday. I may not be the perfect image of Christianity, but I'm doing my best. And
Mhm.
this is my version. And like I said, I never want this to be like a spiritual podcast. But I do owe it a lot of my healing because of him. Because
Yeah.
I stopped the moment that I was so broken inside, and I didn't think that no one could fix me and no one knew that I was drowning in plain sight. And I looked at my Bible and I said, this is the last thing that I'm going to open. And if this doesn't fix me, then I'm done.
Mhm.
And I've never looked back since. And I'm so proud to say that I'm 10 months sober, close to a year.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
But I did want to ask, like, was there a specific like an event or anything that like sparked you to even think about stopping? Because like when you're on that high, like your world is fixed for that moment.
Mhm.
So like, what made you like? Was there an event, thought, feeling? Did you think back on mom, on her like growing up? Like, what was it that made you stop, or like the idea behind it?
I think it made me stop when I looked myself in the mirror and I couldn't even recognize myself. I couldn't even recognize like who I was. Like I could see myself, but I didn't even know myself. Like I just, and maybe too, like in the same point of saying that, it's like I also saw mom,
Mm.
and because I feel like we all individually kind of look like her, um I looked in that mirror and I just saw maybe her.
Like bits of her.
Yeah, maybe bits of her, and maybe that's what scared me a little. because I feel like I was using this the same way she may have been using it to deal with her pain and her trauma and
Mhm.
what she went through. And if I'm being honest, it also kind of brought me a little bit like understanding of it. Like, parents aren't perfect. Like, they too go through pain, they too go through trauma. You don't get to always see that other side of things.
Mhm.
And I saw mom, and that scared me a little bit. Mhm. Yeah. It's crazy to put it into words, to reflect on it and to put it into a perspective like that, I guess.
But it's also empowering to see how, I guess now that you're speaking about it, like we were both on that wall,
Mhm.
that thin line between, okay, you have one foot in, you're already, using in
Mhm.
an unhealthy way, but yet in both of our stories, somehow, some way, there was pieces of us that we recognized
Mhm.
from our mother that influenced
Yeah.
that change of choice of, no, I'm not going to continue doing this. No, I'm not going to continue to remind myself of these things,
Mhm.
of indulging in these things.
Yeah. And
So, as much as our past could be harming,
mhm.
feel like our past also teaches us things. And that's why I feel like I'm so grateful for, even though our stories, our life, the cards that we were handed weren't the best at
Mhm.
all. I feel like, at least for me, I'm so grateful that I went through those things, because had I not seen that example of what drugs do, of what how far addiction can go and how it can hurt my priorities and others, that I love around me, had I not seen that, I my story probably would have been different,
Mhm.
because I didn't have that example. And then for you, like I said, like we both chose
Yeah.
after seeing a glimpse of like
Yeah.
mom.
And it also goes to prove like we're not sitting here perfect, like, yeah,
Mm-mm.
we never touched anything and we never did anything. It just goes to show like to people in general that we don't have it all together.
These are
And
real
yeah,
things,
these
real
are all
struggles.
exactly. And like you said, like, we're just we've learned, but I still want to say that we're still learning.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of things, of just realizing that we've went through so much and yet I'm still learning how it affects my adulthood, but how I also use that to change other people, I guess. Like I always say, like, if I just leave one person impacted,
Mhm.
I take that as a win. I don't need like I no, I don't want to I want to rephrase that. I don't want people to just listen and then in one ear out the other. I want people to ingest it, to take it, to reflect on their own lives,
Mhm.
and then to see how can I do better? How can I be better? How can I become a better healed version of myself? But also realizing that us sitting here, we're still healing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay too. Yeah. Yeah, sister.
Well, this video was a lot.
A
We
lot.
unpacked a lot. If you're still here, we appreciate you so so much. For one, being strong for us, and for
Yeah.
listening and having a compassionate heart. These are real things, real stories, real feelings, real
Hmm.
perspectives.
Raw emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it here. Um, I guess, sister, what I want to end with, like, what is one thing that you wish people could just know? Because there's going to be a lot that we're going to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
The next couple of episodes, I can give a little teaser, I guess, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense,
Mm-hmm.
is losing a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be part one. Part two will be how did we cope with it? And it's just going to keep progressing. So, how do you like what kind of advice after the end of this video, after everything that we've unpacked? What do you want people to know?
I would say I know that we're gonna reach, whether now or in the future, kids, foster youth that have gone through this, even kids that didn't necessarily go through the foster part of it, but
Mhm.
went through having a at
Mhm.
home situation like that and just never being saved, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Um,
Cuz we see you too.
yeah. Uh, but also I feel like hopefully we get some teachers that stumble upon our stuff, some counselors, some social workers themselves. Out of everything today, there's a couple things that I want to say, but one of the main things would be for those people who work closely with children, for
Mhm.
those people who, like, that is your whole job, especially workers. Please, 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 please don't be lazy. I get you have a lot of kids. I get you have your personal life going on. But there's a lot of kids that all they need is just a little bit of attention, just a little bit more time, just one question
Mhm.
away from saving them from a situation like ours, worse, better, whatever.
Mhm.
Youth, if you see someone like we've covered, like struggling, doesn't look like you, doesn't have the same things as you, please be compassionate. That's one
Mm.
thing that I can spread in this world is please be compassionate, be the light that you wish you had, be the kind person that you wish you interacted with when you needed it. Like, please. Um and then therapy, if you are closed-minded and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to try therapy, but I already know it's not going to work." Then it's not going to work for you. Don't even go. But if you know that, hey, I'm struggling on certain things, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to educate yourself. There's power in knowing, because that way, when you know, they can help you better understand or help you with like different things that can, skills, I guess, skills that can help you out of those things, that can help you in that situation. Keep an open mind to those things. And lastly, for kids that are currently going through situations like this, kids in the system, we did kind of touch on it, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's an age thing where it's like, just hold on, just hold on. And if you find yourself in that situation, you are strong, you are heard, you are seen,
Mhm.
you're not alone, and things will get better. It's unfortunate that situations are the way that they are, but don't give up. Don't give in to people's ideas of you repeating the cycle of you being a mirror image of whoever did damage to you. Excuse me, to you.
Mhm.
And if no one's ever said it to you, I'm proud of you and you are so strong. And there's a lot more people like you. There's a lot more light out there for you to find when you're older. When you grow from these situations, you'll see, and there's power in your story.
Yeah.
There's power in your
I'm
story.
just so proud of like hearing this is my baby sister, y'all. So I'm just so proud of like the woman you're becoming and the mindset that you have. I think that everything that you touch base, someone needed to hear.
Yeah.
And you definitely, like I said it over and over again in this podcast, you just definitely reached someone. And I'm so proud that I'm related to you and that I'm your sister. And I just think that you hit it all off the like chart. That was amazing. And I just want to reiterate like what Wendy said here. Like, um, if you work in the profession with kids, please pay attention. You never know when you're gonna save someone. And I'm just gonna Wendy hit the teachers, the youths, she hit all those key points. My advice for parents, you are 100% affecting your child with your actions. I understand that you are not perfect. I validate you in that sense that you are not perfect. All humans have flaws. All humans fall short. All humans make mistakes. But please realize just the impact that you have on children, on your children. Realize how much it traumatizes your children seeing a parent be in the DV relationship. Realize how much it traumatizes seeing you, although you may think you're hiding it really well, being under the influence, you are not. You, in turn, make your child mature faster than they should. And it really does have a long term effect. So just be mindful. And if you are watching this and you see your kids playing and they're being a little rowdy, let them be because they are only children once.
Let children be children,
Yeah,
please. Let them live, have an innocent mind, hobbies, whatever. Let them be children.
yes. The adulthood will come in when it's their turn. Right now, all you can do is hug your children and let them be kids. This was such a powerful and impactful podcast, and I just loved it. And I think I just got to reiterate one more time what you said. If no one has ever told you that they are proud of you, we sit here before you and we tell you we are just so, so, so proud of you. And if you think that you are failing, that you are a failure, you are not. You are on your own healing journey. And not everyone goes through the same thing at the same time.
Hmm.
Some of us take longer, and that is okay. And if anyone has ever told you that you are going to turn out just like this person, just like your mom, just like your uncle, whoever it may be, you show them that you're not. Because guess what? Their name is not your name.
Hmm.
You have a name, you have a voice, you are meant to be someone. And again, we are just so proud of you if no one has ever told you that. So,
Thank you for sticking with us this podcast. Again, we know this was a lot more detailed, a lot more stories, a lot more deeper. But we appreciate you guys for staying. Let us know anything you guys would like to know, any
yeah, ask us
questions,
questions on
anything.
the comments. Please
Mm-hmm.
it really does help, and share it with others. It also does help.
Yes. For next episode, we are so excited. You
Yeah,
guys are gonna get to know a
yeah.
lot more details, but more of like the people that shaped us, I guess you could say, a
Hmm.
person that shaped us.
Yeah.
Um,
The next 4 episodes are really intentional, the
mhm,
way we have put them together. And it just goes through the timeline really, really well. We kind of open you up a little bit about those wounds.
mhm,
And then towards the end, we kind of stitch you back up and realize that everything has a purpose in this world. And we're just so excited.
mhm.
So thank you
Thank you guys
guys.
so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, thank
Bye.
you.